It's Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And you're correct.
Yeah.
If you look in the dictionary for ironic, it'll have a picture of Joe Biden drawn to 1/43rd scale.
Just your thoughts, Congressman, on how Joe Biden has handled this whole situation. I got to remind the viewers here. He lifted the sanctions, the oil sanctions on Iran, $60 billion, $70 billion a year in revenue here. His soft stance between this whole conflict between Israel and Hamas here, talking out of both sides of his mouth. Clearly, that comes for votes without question here. Your thoughts on how he's handling this situation and moving forward, and also telling Israel, don't retaliate against Iran after they launch a direct attack against them.
Well, it's a complete 180 since Donald Trump was in the White House. Every international incident he has fumbled and failed on, Afghanistan, Ukraine, the whole deal. Look, we've allowed, everybody wants to talk about the $6 or $7 billion that we gave back to Iran. The reality is what you mentioned, that 2.5 million barrels a day that we allow them to pump out of the ground and to sell primarily to China. About 80% of their energy, I think, sources come from them, their oil energy. And we just continued to fumble. And that's what we've done. We've funded this thing. Now we're funding, and again, both sides of this war. We're telling our best ally in the Middle East, they got to go it alone. What in the world? And then they're rushing, the Democrats are rushing a bill to the floor, trying to get it to tonight, that's going to have Ukraine funding in it. And it's primarily a Ukraine funding bill. And then they won't let us do independent bills. We sent one over to Schumer in the Senate. Of course, the Democrats have blocked that. It's just a complete fumble by the Democrats. I hope the American public is waking up and seeing what's going on with this.
Right. I think people need to understand that this doesn't have to do simply with Bibi and the Ayatollahs. This all started with Barack Obama, right? And if you recall, Congressman, even Hillary Clinton, she had criticized Trump during the debates about, he came out and said we should not appease Iran. They're the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. So it all started with Barack Obama, Clinton, Joe Biden, and then they were all wrong. Again, Trump was right, because under President Trump, Iran was broke. They had, $4 billion? And now they're getting billions every single month. He did it day one on his executive order when he came into office by shutting down that Keystone pipeline. Declaring war on the fossil fuel industry is what I feel, or you tell me, is kind of the domino effect that started all of this.
You two need to get hired at the State Department, because you all get it, and obviously don't. I'm sure somewhere in the Middle East we need to send a man over there in a skirt and use that for recruiting transgender values over there.
Like that.
Yeah. But the reality is exactly what you said. They have enabled, if not allowed, if not helped fund this war against our ally in Israel, and now the abomination of it all is that the Biden administration says you got to go it alone. What does that mean? Does that mean we're cutting off funding to the Iron Dome? Does that mean our missile defense systems that we helped shoot down some of those drones, over 300 drones, we're not going to do that anymore? Look, I just think it sends a very poor message. It's very ill-conceived. You got a president that can't find a self-serve ice cream machine at the White House, and this is who is the leader of the free world right now. You did not see these wars under Donald Trump, without a doubt.
You certainly didn't, and you saw what he did to their general, Soleimani, too. He was gone real quick, and we didn't hear much from them afterwards. Congressman, you got 20 seconds here. Talk about Israel funding. How quickly do we need to get it through the House, through the Senate, here into Joe Biden's desk?
We got to make sure that Israel can defend itself. The Iron Dome is where it's at. They're on about an automatic withdrawal, about $2.5 billion, I think, a year anyway. But the reality is we've got to make sure that the Iron Dome is funded. And I hope that we don't tie it to Ukrainian funding, because it'll be a huge amount for Ukraine and a little bit for Israel. Do those bills independently of each other. Vote them individually. If they're important, let's do that. Chuck Schumer needs to quit playing footsie with these terrorists, and we've got to allow those bills to get through the Senate.
Congressman Tim Burchett from the state of Tennessee. Sir, thanks for coming on.